What's going on, guys? Tom here. This is my last week of being without Pat, I believe. As you were listening to this, I'm actually in LA right now. I'm recording a week beforehand, and I will be calling my friend Kyleigh, who also you may know as CaptainDangerous on Instagram. This will be the second time that she'll be on the show, and I'm going to ask her a bunch of questions about her journey as an entrepreneur. So I'm going to call her. Hopefully all the audio stuff will work out properly, and we'll get going.
Hello?
What's up?
Hey, what's up?
Not much, man. Just got off of work, rushing around the house, getting ready for Megan's dad to stay with us for the weekend. And
oh, man, that's cool.
Yeah, so I tried to do that real quick before I was casually 10 minutes late to call you.
Oh, no, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
Fashionably, you should call it. So, you've been on the show before.
Yes.
I'm recording right now. I just want to...
Okay, cool.
You agreed to being recorded?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess.
Okay. All right, good.
I'm just kidding.
I've never actually asked anyone before. I feel like it's maybe like common courtesy.
I mean, if you're asking them, do you want to be on my podcast? And they say, sure. I mean, I think it's kind of implied that you're recording.
Okay.
I mean, at least I hope they think that.
Sure. And you can hear me all right and everything?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, cool. So yeah, like I said, you've been on the show with your husband, Kyle. It was in between episodes 32 and 33. It was a little bonus episode.
Yes.
And it's just you today, right? No Kyle?
Yep, it is just me.
Okay. So I kind of have like a list of questions that I wanted to ask you.
Okay, cool.
Because you in your life have followed a very like creative entrepreneurial journey that I'm just kind of starting for myself, and I thought maybe there were some things that I, as well as maybe some listeners, could learn from.
Yeah, for sure.
But I guess before we jump into that, you asked how I was doing. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Life.
Yeah. Oh, I know that old chestnut.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I guess let's jump into it. Yeah, the last time you were on, I kind of asked you to explain what it is you do, but in case anyone hasn't listened to that, which if you go back through our website, you can find it. As CaptainDangerous on Instagram, how would you describe what you do?
Well, I guess kind of to kind of cover it in broad sense, I'm more of a product photographer. Like, I mainly do toys because they're fun and there's a lot you can do with them. But I do take, product footage of other things like, video game systems, geeky collectibles. I mean, you name it, really anything. But yeah, I guess product photographer kind of covers all the bases.
Okay. How did that start? Like, when did you realize that was something you were interested in, and did you have intentions of like doing it professionally from the start?
Oh man, honestly, I never expected it to turn into what it has. I mean, I guess I would say maybe about over 3 years ago now. Gosh, it's been a while. I lose track of time. I had moved from Indiana. I'm originally from Indiana. When I got married, my husband, Kyle, lives here in Ohio. So when my first year here, I didn't know anybody. I didn't really have any friends, new job, new life, kind of, just all started. And, I was young. I was, I was almost 19, I believe, at the time. And, I kind of getting to know the area and everything. And I were staying with, Kyle's parents, saving up for a house, which they were very gracious to let us stay there and save up money.
Yeah.
Note to all you younger couples out there, if you can do it, like, Seriously, I highly recommend it. So anyway, back on point. Just a little life pro tip out there.
Before I go off the rails on that one, because, yeah, I lived with Megan's parents for 2 years, and that was about a year and a half way too long.
Yeah.
So keep it short.
I can tell you, like, it was difficult, but it was worth it. Like, I mean, I have, a house I love, but, like, if you can do it and you can, like, power through it, it's very helpful. Yeah. But anyway.
Just save immediately. Don't stay there 2 years like I did.
Yes, absolutely. But anyway, so, I was kind of felt very alone, and I've honestly been collecting toys and figures since I was a little kid. I used to actually take photos of, like some of my little toys and stuff. I used to build like little towns out of, Legos and
right.
whatever. I had oh yeah, dude. Like my entire bedroom was like a little Lego city, and I had, like G.I. Joes and all that stuff. My brothers and I used to collect them like crazy. Yeah, I still have tons of them. Those and Star Wars figures. I have like a box of them down in my basement.
Do you have any photos of like your old room?
I might. You know what? Ooh. My mom actually came over recently, and she brought all my old action figures. I mean, I had like the original like Lord of the Rings action figures.
Oh man,
I was obsessed with those. So I have like boxes of them. So I was kind of going through them, and I found, believe it or not, I found some miniatures I made when I was probably like 9 or 10. And it was so funny looking at it, considering this is kind of what I do now, just to look back. And I think I saved them too. I might have to send you a picture of it if you want to share with people, if I can find it. But it was just really funny to, look back at that. But anyway, so, toys and kind of figures and stuff like that has always kind of been in, my childhood ever since I was a kid, and it always kind of stuck with me. I've been into art and everything. My whole family's very much into the arts. I didn't really do a lot of photography. I actually do a lot of sketch stuff. I used to draw and paint a lot.
Ooh.
And that's kind of originally what I was going for. And I remember, and the thing is, it's difficult with that because it's such a broad, it's very competitive. I mean, there's some people out there with ridiculous talent, and I look at that and I'm like, man, I don't stand a chance. Which isn't true. Don't let that stuff discourage you. But man, it is a competitive field, especially in sketch and digital art. And now they've got all kinds of crazy stuff with that I don't even know what it is. But anyway, so I started kind of collecting again once I, was married to Kyle, and Good Smile Company, which I'd never heard of until, being with Kyle. They had released I think their Toon Nendoroid. And I think that was the first video game Nendoroid I got. And Kyle had gotten him for me. And I thought he was super cool. I was like, man, I really wish they made action figures like this back when I was younger, because these are like the action figures of like my dreams.
Right.
You remember what action figures were like back then? The articulation was crap, or they were really cheaply made. So seeing those, and then the Figma line as well, which is the more detailed. Yeah. And I was like, man, these are incredible. You can actually pose them and they don't break. This is a dream come true.
Yeah, I have one Figma. I think it's Skyward Sword Link, and you can change his mouth and his hair and stuff like that in his hands.
Yeah, you can change.
Blew my mind.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, that's exactly how I reacted too. I was like, this is so cool. So there was I kind of just started taking pictures with my iPhone, because that was all I had.
Okay.
And I used to just take pictures of my collectibles and, whatever I had around. And Instagram was still kind of new then, which is weird to think.
Right.
And, and I just kind of started posting stuff, and, I didn't know anything about photography really. I knew the basics, but, not anything really deep into the art at all. And people kind of started liking what I was doing. I was like, okay, this is, kind of fun. I didn't really take it super seriously. But once I got the Figma and the Toon Link figures, I kind of started taking them outside, and it just kind of brought back these memories of me when I was a kid. I used to set these figures up whatever I had. I didn't take pictures of them, but I used to just set stuff up like little displays in my room. My mom used to joke that my room was a museum because of how detailed. Yeah, people would tease me about it a lot, but I was so particular about like how stuff was set up, just for my personal, viewing. Like I didn't even take pictures of it.
Right.
And so that all kind of started coming back to me, and I started doing stuff with these figures. It kind of started taking off, and Kyle kind of took notice, and he was he surprised me with my first nice camera for my birthday one year, and that kind of was a game changer.
Yeah.
And I mean, the second I got it, I had no idea what I was doing. I was asking him all kinds of questions because he took photography in college for a while, so
okay.
he knew the basics. Like he knew what stuff meant.
Yeah.
I was like, how do you get it to do this? Like, I know what I want, but can you tell me like what I need to do to get that?
Yeah.
I was very much a noob. So any people out there that are just beginning and it feels overwhelming, if I can do it when I didn't know jack crap, I 100% believe that you can do it.
It's, the really nice cameras are really confusing. Like, to get like a broader depth of field, you like change the aperture or something, and like that stuff still like doesn't really make sense to me at all.
And that's kind of how I was too. Like I was kind of overwhelmed. I really just kind of messed with that, like with the camera to figure it out, and looked up stuff online and like how to do stuff, and it was very much trial by error, basically. I mean, I look back on my old stuff, and my style is completely different. Mm-hmm. And it's just because over the years I've learned how to use light and like know how to do stuff before you get the photo into editing, which I think is very important. A lot of people, I think a lot of people just kind of want to get the photo, and not everybody, but I know some people do, and then they just kind of think, okay, I'll fix everything in Photoshop. Where me, I like to get it as close as I can to what I want it to be before editing. One, it makes the photo feel more real, and two, it's less work.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you remember what that first camera was?
I believe it was the Canon T3i. Pretty sure it was.
That's not the one that Ashton Kutcher was the spokesman for, was it? No,
I don't know. You know what?
The Rebel.
It could have been. It's a Rebel. It's a Rebel T3i, so maybe it was.
Oh, maybe it was. Let's consult with Google.
Oh my gosh!
I just kind of want to look at Ashton Kutcher, to be honest with you. He's so dreamy. Okay, Ashton Kutcher Canon camera. It's a Rebel. Okay. Oh no, he was the Oh wait, I got it all wrong. He was the Nikon Coolpix.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was Nikon. I couldn't remember if it was Nikon or Canon either.
Huh. Yeah. Oh well, the Canon. That's a good fight. Nikon versus Canon. Do you have a?
Oh yeah.
Do you have a dog in that fight?
To be honest, you really can't go wrong with either. I know people probably yell at me for that, but in my opinion, I truly think they're both amazing cameras. It's just whatever your preference is.
Yeah, definitely.
Canon was more my speed. Honestly, even like Sony has got some incredible cameras too. I have a friend who's an ambassador for them, and she has some like pretty awesome cameras from them, and part of me wants to try them out.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's one of those things where it's like, and this is what's so hard for photographers, is like once you stick to a brand, you buy those lenses for that camera. Yeah, dude, all the money's in the lenses. And so once you start building, your equipment up and everything with that brand, it's like once a new camera comes out, you're like, crap. Like, and it's a different brand, because then you're like, you got to start all over. So it's part of me is like, maybe one day if, I'm ever, making, tons of money, which.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh, come on, don't say that.
I can dream, right? I would love to try out some of the Sony line, and honestly, just be able to even get more Canon cameras, because they're a great like sturdy body of a camera, which is why I love them. Like they're heavy duty. Which is great for all the outdoor stuff I do. And I know a lot of my friends do the same stuff I do, use Canon, and they've told me the same thing. So
yeah. I've like I said, Megan's the photographer. I don't know too much, but I have it seems like I have a lot of friends that are like pro photographers. Like that's their job,
Yeah.
And from what I've heard, Canon is like the better camera, but Nikon tends to make the better lenses.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've heard too. Same. I have a lot of friends who do professional stuff, and they're both Nikon and Canon. It's kind of it seems pretty evenly divided between all of them. I've got probably half Canon, half Nikon, friends who do it.
Right.
And I've messed around with a Nikon camera before, and it's so weird because you get so used to Canon and everything. And
yeah, for sure.
I was like, man, this is it's seriously like learning to walk, again. It's like seriously what it's like. And it was my sister-in-law. She was borrowing her friend's camera, I think, and it was a Nikon. She's like, yeah, you can, check it out. And I was like, what am I holding? Like, this is so weird.
What's a camera? What?
Yeah,
Nikon?
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's great. So you're saying that the new camera, the T3i, was kind of a turning point, but was that the point when you realized that you really had something going, or was that more related to seeing your Instagram numbers grow? At what point did you think that not only could you do it, but people really wanted it?
I think definitely the turning point for me was when Nintendo started to take notice. Because my dream ever since I was a kid, I've loved Nintendo. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love all kinds of video games, but there's just something about Nintendo that just stuck with me as a kid. And I remember being about 13 or 14 years old, every E3, trying to, steal the computer from my, whoever was at home at the time. I come from a family of 5. So, having one computer is, this is back before everybody had iPhones and all that stuff. Gosh, I feel old saying this. Yeah. So, I remember sitting down and watching, E3 live streams and how, exciting it was. I mean, it was like Christmas to me. And I remember looking at my little brother, who was also into that same stuff, looking at him and telling him, I was like, said, one day I'm going to go to E3. And, several years later, I got invited not only to just go, but by the company I had a dream of working for and doing stuff with. And, it's so crazy to think about now, but it's just once they took notice, it was just it was the shock, honestly. It was like, they know who I am? This is absolutely insane. I was like, I worship these guys.
Yeah.
And they contacted me via a DM on Instagram, and this was back when...
This is Nintendo of America?
Yeah, Nintendo of America.
Wow.
Because they had shared a couple of my photos, I believe, by asking me via DM. And I was like, sure, that alone. I remember when they shared, the first time they shared one of my photos, it was Toon Link with Makar, and he had his little leaf umbrella. I remember crying in the car when he shared it. I remember calling Kyle. I had just gotten off of work, and I was crying. I was kind of I'm in the car by myself, but I'm embarrassed because I'm people are probably looking at me like I'm losing my mind in the car. But, I was, freaking out. I couldn't believe this was happening. And then, a few months later, I get a DM asking, hey, is it okay? I believe it was a DM or email. I can't remember. But basically, they wanted to call me. I was like, holy crap, a phone call? All right. So I got called, and they asked, hey, do you think you could take some promotional photos of, the Twilight Princess Wolf Link amiibo, and we'll send you the game early. I had to sign a bunch of papers and stuff to keep stuff under wraps. And I remember working my butt off because I wanted to impress them,
right?
Because this is before they asked me to start doing stuff with them, that kind of thing. And I put everything into those photos, and I wanted to show them I can crank these out. And they seriously gave me 3 days. They're like, is that too fast? I was like, you guys are Nintendo. I'm gonna make it work.
Make it work, yeah.
And so I put everything into those photos. And they only wanted, I think, 3. I sent them 4, like, just in case, and they ended up wanting to use all 4, which was
Jeez.
like just completely like blew me away. Like, they liked, my stuff that much, and it was just so humbling and incredible that this company I've been a fan of since I was a kid loves what I'm doing. And I think it was like a little bit after that I got another email, and they're like, hey, we want to bring you on to like the Nintendo Ambassador program, and you basically be a representative of Nintendo. And I was like, heck yeah, sign me up. Again, this was also followed by, once I got the email, this was also followed by crying and running around the house screaming. Yeah, it was incredible. And honestly, from there, things have progressed and, grown. And obviously, I know you and I have talked about it off recording. There's not a whole lot I can say to everyone yet because stuff isn't set in stone. But stuff takes time. Patience is probably the biggest thing that I struggle with. And especially with companies like this, stuff doesn't happen right away. Right. And I say that to everybody in the art field or anything, honestly. Patience. It's going to suck. You're going to get really discouraged, but don't give up. Life's going to throw stuff at you that's going to make you want to throw in the towel and, give up on your dreams. And I don't want to sound like some freaking fortune cookie by telling you, reach for the stars and everything will, it will work out. Because trust me, it's hard. It's so difficult. There's going to be times where you're going to feel like a failure and you're going to, be just super frustrated at everything and not understand why stuff isn't happening and all that kind of stuff. And I know this one because I go through it all the time. I'm going through it now a little bit. Stuff is, uncertain, and you're going to feel like you're not good enough and all this stuff. And it's amazing how many people I have talked to in the community who struggle with the same thing. And it means the world to me that these people reach out to me to, ask any advice or help, because I know what it's like to go through that. And I want them to know that it's totally normal and it's okay. And it doesn't mean that they should give up or, quit whatever they're going for. It doesn't even have to be an art. It could be for a job, some small thing. Like it's anything. And, my biggest thing with doing this stuff on Instagram was I wanted to build a community of people that were trying to be different, that were, not following the normal, there's a formula out there basically in the gaming world where, everybody does streaming or YouTube or cosplay, and there's nothing wrong with that. Half my friends do that stuff and they're super talented at what they do. But then there's people that do stuff that's different art-wise that isn't the mainstream. And because it's not popular, it gets overlooked. And my whole goal is I want to find people like that. Find people, for goodness sake, I take pictures of toys. Like, I never in my life thought that Nintendo and these other companies would think what I did was cool. And because of that, I want to help other people that may have a really unique art form, but they're too afraid to put themselves out there because it's not popular, it's not mainstream, it's not what everyone else does. I want to prove that you can make it and not follow the mainstream. And that's kind of always been my goal. That, and I just want people to know that share your stuff with the world. Like, I get so excited when people tag me in things, like their toy photos, whatever. Like, it seriously makes my day so much. I love seeing the stuff that people do and, their creative ways of doing stuff with toys or stuff they're making or whatever. Like, I feel honored that they took the time to think of me to hey, I want to show this to you. Like, I don't know, I'm getting excited just thinking about it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you've kind of become like an authority in your field, on Instagram and social media,
which is so crazy to me because I always tell people this. It's like, they ask you stuff, and I'm happy to help in whatever way I can, but I feel like such a noob still. Like I just got my first full frame camera, like, about a year ago or so, and I'm still like learning how to use it and, stuff like that. And, I've shot weddings, I've shot engagement photos, which to me are easier than toy photos. I know that sounds weird, but it's true.
Man, I was just laughing earlier because, I have these questions kind of written out that I wanted to ask you. And this is like the third time that you've just like flowed into something that I wanted to ask you about. Like I didn't have to ask you,
That's
just
awesome.
went into it. So
yeah.
I guess our heads are in the right place. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
But I being an entrepreneur, it's like, I've newly discovered that side of myself. And I think a huge like personality trait of, creative entrepreneurs like us and like everyone else is you always feel like you don't know anything. It's like a constant,
very true.
It's like a constant struggle for perfection, knowing that you'll never get there. And
absolutely.
And like, that's why I can't be happy at like, I thought that, before I realized that I was like wanted to do something for myself, I was applying for jobs and like, trying to think of my dream job. Like, what do I want to do? And I wrote out the things that I would like to spend time doing every day, like kind of the wish list. And I was thinking of jobs that fulfill most or all of those. And it still like didn't make me happy thinking about it. And it took me way too long to realize it's because I was framing it as me doing that for a company. And like it just took me forever to think like maybe it's not that I'm lazy and that I don't want to work. I just want to do something for myself, because when I do something,
no, I totally understand.
Yeah, and like when you're that kind of way and you do something for other people, you don't really care about the quality of your work. It's just like, it's good enough. I did it. And even at my job now, it's like you kind of have to do that, but I also don't feel comfortable because I know that I want perfection, but since it's not your own thing, you don't really care.
Right.
So it's just funny to hear you say like, with me, I have, or, Pat and I have like 40 Instagram followers or 40 Twitter followers, and there's like one that talks to us regularly, and it's like, heck yeah, we got one guy, and then but I still want like more, like even like 1,000 followers, and then your Instagram numbers are like pretty crazy, and it's to me that would be like, whoa, mind blowing, and then to hear you be like, I need more, I need to do better, like I need my photos to be better, and like I think they're amazing, and I know that it just makes me think that like 30 isn't enough, but neither will 100. 1,000 won't be enough. 10,000, 100,000.
Right.
It's just never going to be enough. And
right.
I think that's a good thing, though.
Yeah, it is. And here's the mindset that I think a lot of people, and it kind of separates people from who are truly passionate about what they do and people who are just doing it for the money. Don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, making money at what you do and it's something you love is like a dream, right? And, it's what a lot of people, want or strive for. But I've noticed, just in, the few years of me doing this, one, as much as, people, make a big deal about, followers and stuff, which they're great to have. I'm saying this to everybody because I know everyone deals with this. They do not matter. If somebody is trying, if somebody is trying to tell you, like, telling you that, because I've seen people who gained a following in a short amount of time and then become very entitled,
right?
And it's sad, and that's the thing is, it's just like, don't let, and I've spoken about this before, don't let followers or numbers or anything dictate your worth or your level of artistic ability, whatever. Like, don't. I've done that. I still do it sometimes. It is something I struggle with constantly, and it's a fight. It's just like, it's a mental battle every day to not let that stuff, I guess discourage you would be the word I'm looking for, because it's easy to look at somebody who has a large following or whatever and think, wow, they must be better than me because they have more followers, which I will tell you right now is absolute bullcrap.
Right.
And the reason why that is because Instagram, Facebook, whatever social media a lot of the times is dictated by a really wonky algorithm that is completely random. Like, and that's the thing is, like, you have to remember that. Like, some of the best artists in the world, like, I'm talking photographers, whatever, that I think, like, I mean, they like work for, like, you know, actually work for, like, the photography companies like Canon, Nikon, Sony, whatever. Like, that's their job. Like, they do that stuff. And they have, like, a third of the following I have, if not less. So, and their talent is way beyond mine. So that's one of those things you have to look at. Another thing, too, is starting out in this kind of stuff, don't expect money right away. Like, I'm 3.5 years in, and most of the money I get at all is, like, through Patreon. And, like, bless the people who have, you know, subscribed to whatever small amount or just wanted prints or miniatures. Like, you guys freaking rule. Like, you have no idea how much that means to me. Just even in a small bit or whatever you do. You know, I kind of threw it up there just for fun. In a way, you know, a lot of people asking for prints, so I thought this would kind of be an easy way to do it. But, you know, working with companies, especially if you have a unique art or style you're doing or whatever, a lot of times companies don't know what to do with it right away. Like, they love what you do, but they're not sure how to, like, incorporate what you do into their business.
Right.
So that's one thing I have learned very much so. So don't get discouraged over that either. Like I said, all this stuff takes time, which sucks, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah.
But the money will come later. And also, I think the other big thing is make sure your mindset is out to make money. I guess make your goal to be happy and satisfied with what you're creating for yourself. You know, my biggest thing, and I take so much time and stuff in what I do in detail because, you know, I'm very particular. Like you and I were talking about, you know, we want to be perfectionists kind of thing. But it's also just more or less to push myself to, you know, get better and stuff for me. Like, you know, not just you know, well, I'm doing this because I'm getting paid for it. Like, and that's the thing, you got to be careful if you don't want to fall into that mindset, because I feel like then, you know, it's not passionate art anymore. It's just a job. Yeah. And it's like when you lose that passion, I feel like it can kind of show in your art and your craft and whatever you're doing. So there's kind of a fine line between the two, of separating, you know, the business from, you know, your passion and stuff and your art and, you know, whatever it is you're doing. Because if you're not loving like art and what you loved before, and the business side is taking over, it's kind of a good indicator to kind of take a break. Because I've had that happen too. I have a lot of friends who are musicians. I know I've told you that, and they've had the same issue. And you know, it's where music just becomes like they don't feel it anymore. And I've had long conversations with some of my friends that, you know, been playing music for years and touring, and it's like, man, I feel that, you know, different art field, but I definitely feel it. Yeah. So it's definitely a time to just kind of like, you know, reevaluate, you know, sit outside, listen to the birds, whatever it is, it gets you in Zen mode. But yeah, I definitely think, separating, like I said, business and, you know, your passion in art or whatever is key before, you know, thinking about, well, you know, these people or these companies owe me this money for, you know, whatever I'm doing. It's like you should never go into something with that mindset because it makes you look super selfish, first off. Yeah. But yeah.
So I mean, I guess that kind of leads into, I wanted to ask like how you stay motivated, and I feel like something must be going on with you right now, because I, like a week and a half ago, I went back through and counted how many photo sets you've done since the last time we talked, and it was like 17, and that was like 5 ago. Like you are pushing stuff out like I've never seen before, and like I said, I've always really liked your stuff, but I feel like in the past like couple months, it's been like different level. Like, what's like, I was kind of
that's
wondering.
Honestly,
like,
that's honestly super encouraging. That's super encouraging to hear because, like I was saying earlier, it's easy to get discouraged and stuff. And to be quite honest with everyone, you know, I've been pretty discouraged the last few months. Like I said, stuff with companies moves very slow. It's very easy to feel like you get kind of stuck with stuff and it feels like you're not moving anywhere. Like, sure, you know, you're pushing all your stuff into your art and your, you know, your time and everything. And, you know, your photos, your music, whatever might be, you know, the best you've ever done. But stuff still isn't moving, like, in that sense. And it's frustrating. So that's kind of how I've felt the last, you know, several months. And I've just kind of taken, I don't know if we've taken a step back, but I guess just kind of try to reevaluate, like, how I'm doing photos and, like, the heart of it, I guess. And, like, honestly, a lot of times I plan stuff way ahead of time, if I can. Like, if I have ideas for stuff, you know, because, you know, I make, you know, Kyle and I make almost everything. So we kind of have to plan, you know, stuff out. But you know, I've tried to kind of, you know, I guess plan photos for certain days and then kind of just like have a backlog of them if I can. Sometimes it doesn't really happen, but I think, I don't know. Like, it's really funny that you say that because I've had like 5 or 6 people message me and tell me the same thing. And I'm like, really? Like, I mean, it makes me feel awesome. Like, thank you. But it's just so crazy because it's like, you know, I've been trying to get better and, you know, getting like trying different stuff. And you know, I love building stuff. Like, I've been this way since I was a kid. So anytime like I come up with a new idea, I'm like, oh man, like I need to build this now.
Right.
It's like, you know, I'm up late into the middle of the night. My husband made a Facebook status last night about,
I saw that.
It was like 9:30. Yeah. And he's like, my wife is still up. I'm seriously like down in the basement and my cat is like climbing on me and I'm like trying to like stain like this stuff I'm making for this next photos I'm going to be doing this weekend. I'm trying to finish another dio. I just took some Majora's Mask photos a couple days ago that are a different style than I usually do. I know I shared on my Instagram stories the Keaton mask and the ocarina. Yeah, dude, holy cow! That I'm gonna do a comparison photo because I have a real size ocarina next to this little thing because it has a teeny tiny Triforce on it that is amazing. Like, I will tell you, like, anytime you see extremely detailed paint work in any of my photos, that is 100% my husband. Like, I can paint. But he's just on a level of detail that I have never seen in like anything before. So applaud him every time you see that in any of my photos. Admiral Boogaloo is his tag. So tag him and tell him, dang, you're good at painting.
What percentage of Captain is Kyle, do you think?
I would definitely say it's probably 50-50 between the two of us. He helps me so much in making props because a lot of times what we do is we split up this stuff. Like, I'll work on this part and he'll work on this part kind of thing. So it's definitely like he's helped me with photos. A lot of the times I do all the photo stuff. But sometimes some of the stuff requires like effects or it's easier for, you know, having 2 people. A lot of times I have to use a tripod for stuff. And with setting up a tripod, and you have to be quick because the sun moves and, you know, oh my gosh. So many times I'll be out taking photos and I'll have like the sun kind of where I want it. So like, all right, I have to get this quick before, you know, the sun moves. And by the time I have it set up, it's like the sun is either like directly on the figure, like completely washing them out,
right? Or
it's like dark, and I'm like, oh.
And then a cloud goes by, and all your settings don't matter anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think the phrase I utter the most in my life is, "Oh, my light is gone."
Do you use any artificial lights at all?
No, most of the time I do not. I think I've only used it in like maybe, honestly, like, just to be safe, probably 10 photos total. Like at least recently. Because like, I'm trying to think of the few that I've done. I've used a light pad, which is for like sketching as like a bottom light, that was indoors. As for like most of my night photos, that's typically artificial light. I think that's really the only time. But yeah, all my photos are natural light. They're I'd say a good 85 to 90% of them are.
So one of my favorite photos that you've done in the past couple weeks, I think, it's actually your pinned ones on the Dangerous Pixel Facebook. It is
the Breath of the Wild one.
Yeah, it's Link in the champion tunic with the little wolf. Is that Wolf Link, or am I missing something there?
No, that is because in Breath of the Wild, like if you scan the Wolf Link, which is from Twilight Princess, which it's kind of funny if you think about it, because technically it's Link and Link, because Link is Wolf. Yeah, it's a whole confusing. So it's So, but in the game, one of my favorite things in Breath of the Wild was the fact that you could have a little buddy. Like, I remember when I scanned mine in for the first time, that was the thing I was the most excited about. I was like, oh my gosh, like, you have like a wolf companion. I mean, it's Wolf Link, but still, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So, like, I literally, I planned to make that Wolf Link like a year in advance. Like, once I knew that they were doing the Nendoroid, it was like, this is like, I had stuff already planned out. So I knew that. Some of the stuff, like I said, some ideas come to me, way ahead of time. Others, it's like the day of, and I'm like, oh, I could do this. But yeah, like that little Wolf Link is probably like one of my favorite little props I have. Again, amazing detail work by Kyle. Holy crap!
Oh, he made that.
He did all the paint work on that. Yep.
Oh my god, dude! I had no idea.
He's like I said, he's ridiculous. Like anytime I need detail stuff, like he's a ridiculous painter, and like like I said, I can paint stuff, I can make some stuff, but like anytime I need stuff that's absolutely like teeny tiny detail. Like, I'm like, can you paint this? And that's what he did. Like, he looked at the picture, like, he, like, mixed the colors. Because I know, like, Wolf Link has a bit of a green tint to him. So, yeah, like, him and I were down there, like, comparing colors. And, I was, like, it was seriously reminded me of, like, I don't know if you ever watched, like, behind-the-scenes stuff with, the director of the movie and, like, the head of, like, the art, whatever over there, and like they're going back and forth, and I'm like the director, like looking at it, and I'm like, I'm like approving it. I'm like, yeah, this will work, or I'll maybe change the color on this, and that's exactly what it feels like. It's really funny, but
that's incredible.
Yeah, him and I worked so hard on all that Breath of the Wild stuff. But that Wolf Link is very special because of how much time he put into that. It's like a little gift almost every time he makes these little miniatures. Like, and he loves making them because he told me this. He's like, I love seeing the like look on your face every time like I show you like a completed little mini or whatever. Apparently, I get this like really giggly girl like all excited. I mean, I don't see it, but apparently he does.
So, yeah, I was just going to ask, does he do that willingly, or is it like twisting his arm? Like, babe, can you make it?
Oh, no, I force him. It's slave labor. I'm joking. No, he does. He actually gets excited about it. And it's really funny because a lot of people, like, they ask me, everybody's says that, their spouse is their best friend, which is, true in a lot of cases when they say it, but it's like, or they're into the same stuff. Like, Kyle and I are absolutely into all the same things, and it's kind of creepy. Like, we love all the same geeky stuff. He loves making things. He's super into Gundam, which I keep encouraging him to build and paint his stuff and post it, because he used to all the time. And he's so good at building, like, Gundam, and I love him, too. We have a whole room in our house that, upstairs, I mean, you've seen it, where he's got all his Gundam and stuff up. Yeah. It's his office, and, I told him, that was, like, his childhood thing. I was like, you need to build more. I built them. I think they're a blast to make. Yeah. But that's where he gets so good at that detail stuff, is he, is painting all those tiny parts, so, he's just a natural.
That's awesome. I guess why I brought up that photo, I wanted to ask, is that natural light in that? In the snow photo?
Yeah. Yes. I post a lot of behind the scenes stuff on my Patreon. I know a lot of people ask that, but I'll tell you how I did that. So I have a deck in my backyard, and it comes right off the house. And so I use it a lot as kind of a platform for setting up stuff. It's a flat surface and it's pretty away from, stuff that could get in the way. Mm-hmm. And to do that, I took a white sheet and I threw it over the, I guess it'd be the bench, like a bench, my deck. So it would kind of overhang. So basically I have like this white backdrop. I took powdered sugar and sprayed, that's what the snow is. Yeah. Wow. Which, by the way, for people who do toy photos, if you ever want snow, do powdered sugar, not flour. I mean, you can maybe do a mix of both, but powdered sugar is much easier to clean up. Because I used to do flour and it clumps really bad and it's gross. So, but anyway, I took powdered sugar, and I have a collection of trees that I have bought over the years, and I have a bunch of little pine trees. You can get them at like fairy garden places and whatnot. But I basically set those all around and sprinkled all the snow and stuff around and put the little log in there and then put, link and wolf link. And what you do to make it look like winter, because obviously when you take the photo, it's literally like 85 degrees outside while I'm doing this. Yeah. And like it's smoldering out. So the way you make it, look like it's winter is when you bring it into whatever editing program you use is turn down the temperature. To cool it down. It almost gives it like a blue hue. And that's what makes it look wintry or cold. And, you can sprinkle snow over it to make it look like it's snowing. You have to, I recommend having, I'm trying to remember what it's called. If you have multiple, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's different for each camera. But basically it just takes a bunch of snapshots so it's catching stuff quick. Like I said, I'm still not good with. Yeah, burst, that's it. I couldn't remember what it was called. But that's helpful too. But yeah, that's basically how I did that. I think there's a behind the scenes photo on Patreon, I'm not sure, but it looked hilarious just because it seriously looks like a pile of just like, it looks like cocaine, which me, a lot of me, like me and my, yeah, exactly. Like I have a friend who always jokes about it. I believe his tag is Allison Cleveland. I think it's still that. Okay. But he always would joke anytime I would like sprinkle snow or whatever, he'd always joke that it looked like cocaine or whatever. And we would always make jokes about it. And it still makes me laugh to this day. So it's been like a running joke.
That's awesome. So you're actually throwing the cocaine on the set as it's doing burst photos? Yes. Or okay. Yes. So, because I was wondering if that was like if you edit those little flakes in, because it honestly looks like it's freezing and like it's actually snowing. Like that's a huge compliment. That's a huge compliment to me because, like I said, it's kind of it's a trick to get it to look like that. Yes, you can do it either way. I know some people, there are filters on Photoshop, and I know other programs where you can make it look like snow. There's certain like overlays, or you can do it this way of like tossing the snow at one of my very dear and very talented friends, Sergeant Bananas, on Instagram. If you're not following him, I highly recommend it because he is one of the best action like toy photographers out there, if not the best. I think he's the best, but that's just me being biased. Sure.
But he does incredible stuff with practical effects and that kind of stuff, and he's been kind of an inspiration. I don't do that stuff as much as he does, but he's definitely inspiring in that sense. Is that he does some super cool action shots with Star Wars and Marvel and all that kind of stuff. But he's the one who gave me some tips on how to do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And for the listeners, all the people that you're mentioning, I'll put a link to their pages in the show notes.
Sweet. I could send them to you.
Okay, cool. And for the listeners, you can either, if you're in iTunes, you can click the three little buttons, view full description, it'll be in there. Or if you go to our website, elemental.fm/reminiscent/40, all the links, a bunch of stuff that, if I'm referencing a picture of Kyleigh's, I'll put a link to it. so you can see what the heck we're talking about. Although I think you're doing a pretty good job of describing it.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah, you mentioned being up late and stuff. I was wondering, like, what the like work-life balance is, and if you ever feel a separation between Kyleigh and CaptainDangerous. Like, is that like a thing for you at all?
I mean, yeah. Like, I'm trying to think of how to, like, because, you know, when I first started, you know, I worked full time and did this. Like, you know, I still, like, you know, I still do that. Like, I mean, I do more photography now as a job and, you know, than I did before. But, you know, it's I guess because what I did working wise is so different than photography, I guess it's kind of an easy way to separate it. But it's kind of funny when people ask, because, you know, like anytime you go into a job and you're kind of getting to know people or, you know, whatever. And I started this at the last job I worked at. And, you know, people would ask me what I did. And I remember being kind of embarrassed about it because I was like, people are going to think I'm weird. I'm not weird. And what's amazing is the response from it is the exact opposite of what I expected. A lot of people think it's really cool and are actually very interested. And that's very encouraging. Again, like I said earlier, for, you know, people who have different, you know, unique art gifts or talents that are not mainstream, that, you know, like, tell people about it. Like, you know, not everybody's going to be like, you know, this isn't like Mean Girls where, you know, they're like, yeah, and you know what I mean? Like, everybody's a bully kind of thing.
Well, there's also like a really big stigma of like the nerds, like, they're not toys, they're action figures, you know? Or yeah. I don't know. Like, I can definitely see, like, thinking that's the way, like, the world might be, but it's cool that you're not, like, experiencing that, you know, in your life.
Yeah, well, exactly. And that's kind of like, because I feel like the culture now has changed so much from when, you know, I was, you know, 10, 11 years old of, you know, playing with action figures or, you know, toys or whatever, that, you know, I remember my brother, like, collecting him when he was older and, you know, him getting kind of teased about it. And, you know, that was like a nerdy thing to do. And like now, it's like, I feel like it's changed somewhat where, you know, that isn't like, it's taken as just like any other hobby, you know, somebody who, you know, enjoys golfing or hiking or something. Like, I feel like people are more receptive of it now than they were, you know, several years ago, where it's kind of interesting. If you start talking to people, you'll find that, you know, they have, you know, a similar interest. It might not be exactly like, you know, what you do, but, you know, the businessman that, you know, acts uptight and stuff around you at work, or, you know, always is dressed like super professional and is kind of intimidating. You could get talking to him and find out he's a huge, like, collector of Funko Pops. Like, right. I mean, that's happened before. And that's what I'm saying, is it's just like, you know, don't be afraid. And like I said too, like, if they think it's weird, then who cares? You know, they're lost.
I definitely feel like, especially like when I was like 6 or 7, like with me and my friends, like, and maybe just society in general, there was like a lot of like repressed nerdiness. And in the past, you know, decade, 5 years, it's like cool to be a nerd now. And yeah. I don't know. I think that's awesome.
I think it's very interesting. You know, a lot of people feel that you have to be you have to be a fan of it for X amount of time in order for you to be like a real fan, which I get where they're coming from, but at the same time, it's kind of gatekeeping in a way.
Yeah.
And,
definitely.
You know, exactly. And like a lot of people, you know, who are just starting out, you know, playing Zelda games, like, they didn't really like, you know, like their first game may have been Breath of the Wild. And like, that's awesome. Like, who cares? Now you get to go back and play all the other ones. If you like Breath of the Wild, like, you know, that's kind of how I see it. You know, and, you know, it's kind of fun watching people who had never really, you know, been into this kind of get into it now, and kind of watching the excitement on their face that you, like, remember having when you first played it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why, like, I feel like a lot of groups and communities, like, they need to chill a little bit on the, well, I've been a fan for X amount of years.
Right.
And, like, I get it. Like, you're trying to speak up for a lot of the people who pretend to be geeky or whatever for attention or, for whatever, because I know that's kind of a popular thing nowadays, which cracks me up, complete opposite of what it was 15 years ago. But yeah, I think, we need to back that off for sure of being like, I've been oh my gosh, I think the Star Wars community is like what I've seen it probably the worst of, all these new people are into Star Wars just because they like rebooted the series. And I'm just like, more Star Wars nerds. Like, why are you upset?
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong?
Right. I was like, you guys are like a force to be reckoned with. Get my pun there.
Right.
Oh, I hate myself.
I do too, so it's okay.
Yeah, edit that out.
Do you? Yeah, I saying there's a lot of like gatekeeping, and I've seen even like satire articles about it, but also like things in real life. Like, do you think that as a woman, there's some of that too, just as like a gender bias kind of thing? Like, has anything been more difficult for you because of that?
Slightly. There has been some stuff that has been said, and then I guess I'm trying to think of the word. Like, not some of it directly and some of it not so, but you can definitely tell that there's an attitude about it, with me especially, and with, other women as well, and the community and stuff. And unfortunately, and I've talked with a couple friends about this who, also work with gaming, in the gaming industry, and actually work for companies that do this sort of thing, have kind of noticed it as well. It sucks because a lot of times how women are viewed in the gaming community in general is that, whatever position you have, whether it be something where, your face is seen more or whatever, that they automatically think that you got that position by sleeping with somebody or by, really by being a cute girl, by being attractive. Like, I've heard it, all kinds of stuff like that. And that's the only reason that they got to that point. And little do they know that, that person actually worked their butt off to get to that position or whatever. And I'm not saying that, it's like that for everybody, because, unfortunately there are girls and guys like that out there that, have either used their looks or whatever to gain popularity or get money and that kind of thing. I mean, if that's what they want to do, cool. But it's kind of hard, and it's hard to speak about this because I don't want, anyone to think that I'm shaming anyone at all, because it's not true.
Yeah.
But, but I think a lot of times when there's a lot of women out there doing it for the wrong reasons, it speaks bad of women like, like I have a couple friends who do Twitch streaming, and, they're not super provocative. They're not, like, you truly enjoy gaming in the community and everything, and it's so refreshing to see. And like I said, not bashing anybody who, does what they do like that or whatever. Like, that's cool. That's your thing. But a lot of times, unfortunately, guys take that as, well, that's the only reason they're popular is because, they dress a certain way, or, they do stuff on streams or YouTube that, it's almost like softcore porn. And it's sad because a lot of women who may, like, I guess I'm trying to say, like, some women are just, like, they're beautiful, they're attractive, and they love what they do, and they're passionate about gaming. But that's what people are going to take as them, as, like, their success, is the fact that they're just attractive. Yeah. And I hate it. And it's so not fair. And I think, and I know even, like, honestly, I'm sure some guys have dealt with it too. Actually, I'm positive they have. And, but it just seems to be definitely, at least what I've seen so far in the gaming industry and such, that it's mainly women that are targeted with that. Is, you know, any success they have is simply the fact that they're, you know, a cute girl or whatever. That, you know, and it sucks. Like, I hate it. And it bothers me so much.
Just like discrediting, you know, their actual abilities just because they happen to be attractive or something.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's an awful stigma that I hope to help break, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's nothing wrong with, you know, dressing how you want to dress or whatever. But at the same time, it's like, it sucks because you just almost have to expect it from people, that's instantly what they're going to think. And It's awful, but it's just what happens. And I wish it didn't. You know, power to the ladies who speak out against that stuff. You guys are awesome. But don't be discouraged or brought down by people that say that crap, because, to be honest, they're upset in their life wherever they're at, and they're taking it out on you. I mean, 100%.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I follow a lot of people who are mainly just like game focused on, you know, like their main content, but then, you know, they'll post a picture themselves, and these people just like get so ignorant, like say the meanest stuff. Like, it's unbelievable.
Exactly. And it's so upsetting. It's somebody behind the screen who wouldn't say that to your face, and, you know, or just
keyboard warrior.
Yeah. Exactly.
Gosh, I mean, you've, you know, managed to get a really, I mean, talking about, you know, like a good following, but also your followers are super engaged with what you do, which seems like the community that you originally, you know, were looking for. You've grown all that, and I think like 95% of your stuff is just straight up your photos, like your finished photos.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah, I mean, I try to keep it that way, and that's mainly because, and this is just a personal thing with me, you know, not everybody's like that, but for me, it's like, I want people to know me for my character and how I talk to people, and I want them to know me by my work, not by what I look like.
right.
And that's just important to me. You know, other people have, you know, if you want to post, you know, selfies, or like, go for it. But that's not, you know, not as much my thing on Instagram, and, you know, my other pages and such. But you know, it's really funny being out at E3. I had several people actually recognize me by my tattoos.
I was going to say the leaves on your arm.
Yeah, which is so funny. Like, I had people come up to me and like pat me on the shoulder and like look, and they're like, "Are you CaptainDangerous?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh my gosh!" They're like, "I love what you do." They're like, "Can I get a photo with you?" And it's like, "I recognize you by your tattoos." I'm like, "Really? That's so cool."
Yeah, I mean, yeah, your face is always covered in any photos, and when we were moving out, you know, from Virginia to Colorado, we stayed at your place after the first drive, and I remember pulling up and be like, "I don't know what she looks like." Like, it was a surprise.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so funny. Even like friends that I've known for like years and stuff that, you know, live across the country or whatever, like, you know, they haven't even like really heard my voice or anything. And
right, yeah.
So it's really funny, like, you know, talking to them, or, you know, start doing videos or podcasts, because I don't do that stuff as much. So it's just so funny that, you know, to hear people like, you know, have no idea like what I sound like or look like or anything. So it's very funny, and it's also kind of scary, because it's like, you know, you're meeting this person, and I always think, I was like, I hope I'm not as lame as like I think I am, because that's exactly how I feel. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, I totally hope they don't think I'm a loser, but like meeting me in person, because I always joke, and it's so true. I'm like, I'm so boring in person. Like, I feel like I'm like, I always feel bad. I was like, well, I hope I didn't ruin any expectations they had when they met me, because I don't feel like anything special, but it was very humbling and honoring to have people excited to meet me. And I was just excited, so these people who've been following me for years, just getting to see them and talk to them in person was like my favorite part of E3. Like it was just, it was so cool.
Would you say that was like, that's been your favorite part of the whole experience so far, is like meeting people who follow you?
Absolutely. That is 100%. Like, I get messages from people just telling me, just like a quick message is just, hey, I wanted to tell you, I love your work and I love what you do, and that's it. Like, you guys have no idea how much that means to me. Like, I save every message. I'm not even kidding. Every scrap of paper, little trinket, letter, toy, whatever anyone has sent me, out of the kindness of their heart, just as a little, whatever. I have saved everything, and I have them proudly displayed all over my house. I have bulletin boards. I really do. I have little drawings, pictures of toys and stuff people have sent me, little letters, keychains, whatever little things. I've saved every one of them because, like, I think this person took the time out of their day to write me this little letter, send it in the mail along with whatever, just because they, like the art that I do or whatever. Like, that is just the ultimate, like, I don't even have a word for it. Like, It's just so cool, and it's so encouraging. And so every person, if you're listening, that has sent me something, like, I can't even begin to thank you. I don't care how small or how big it was. It means the world to me, and I have it displayed in my house. And if you want a picture, just DM me and I will show you, because I'm not lying. I promise.
Do you give these strangers your home address?
Yeah. Especially if I've known them long enough, yeah. I mean, not just any, like, random, oh, no. Like, it's usually people who've sent me stuff that, like, that they keep in contact with me. Okay. Like, it's not, like, some weird, like, yeah. Because I've gotten, like, I don't think I've ever gotten any messages of people who, like, I didn't really know. Because most of the people who contacted me have been, like, they talk to me quite frequently. So, and it hasn't really gotten to a point where I feel like I need to get a P.O. box, which, probably maybe should eventually.
Right.
But for the most part, it's like I've known these people for, at least had enough conversation with them that it wasn't, like, weird.
Okay.
But yeah, I remember the first time somebody asked me, I remember asking Kyle, I was like, what do I do?
So no creeps in the inbox, like, send me your socks or something. Like.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It happens, maybe. Well, I'm
sure.
I'm glad that that stuff seems to have stayed away from your life. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So, God, every time that we've, like, ever talked, but, like, yeah, just like 20 minutes, and then it's like 3 hours goes by.
I know.
We usually try to keep his shows to like 90 minutes or something.
Yeah.
There was some other stuff that I wanted to ask, but we pretty much covered everything. I guess, like, real quick, like, what would be, like, what's, like, the end goal? Like, what are you really looking for out of like what you're doing? Like, what would be the point? Like, what are you working towards, I guess?
Oh man. No, gonna be completely honest. I'm not 100% sure. Every
just working.
I know I'm working towards something, but I'm not 100% sure what it is yet. And it's kind of frustrating at times because it's like, you know what you want, but you're not sure there's, like, a name or a label for it.
Yeah.
But you know what you enjoy. Like, I guess that's kind of the best way to put it. I know what I enjoy and I know what I'm good at. But it's finding, the end of what I can do with those skills, I guess. And, honestly, at this point with, all the stuff that's happened and continues to happen, I've kind of just been rolling with, stuff that comes at me. And seeing where it leads, and trying to be open to opportunities that, may not make sense right away, but, I'm kind of at this point where I just kind of want to try everything. And, like I said, I know what I like and I know what I enjoy doing and putting my time into and what I'm good at. But as for like an end goal, I don't really know, I'm kind of just exploring stuff and seeing where what I'm doing right now takes me. I hope this, continues to grow and turns into something awesome, it'd be great. But I guess it's just like, I don't know what that thing is.
Well, that's probably the best thing that could happen. Like, you can stay agile and just like you said, go with the flow and, not work too hard towards one thing and miss something else. Or it's probably best that you're just trying to do your best at whatever it is that you're doing at the time.
I guess that's a great way to just kind of wrap it up. I'm doing my best.
I'm just trying my hardest, man. That's awesome. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much all I had. There's two questions I want to save for the absolute end, to leave the listeners off with, but Pat and I always do a highlight of the week and a song of the week in our show, and it seems like I can never remember what order we usually do them in. But I'm feeling highlights. Do you want to do a highlight of the week?
Highlight of the week, like something cool that happened during the week for me, or is that what you mean?
It could be okay. It could be 2 weeks. We don't talk every week, so it can be whatever. Just something dope.
Let me think. Well, I have finished several projects that have been basically like half done over the last 2 months. So I guess that would be a highlight, is getting those things done so I can finally take pictures. That and the weather has been fabulous. A little hot, but it's been sunny, which has been really good for photos. So
what's
probably those things.
What's good weather in Ohio for you?
Good weather in Ohio, you gotta take the humidity with summer.
You don't.
Yeah,
you can get out of there.
You have to accept it. You have to embrace it, for what it is. It is a terrible thing, but it is. Oh gosh! Being even outside today, we had really crazy heavy thunderstorms for about an hour and a half, and it was so humid. Yeah. When I stepped outside this morning, I was just like, nope, and went back inside.
Yeah, I do not miss that at all. Colorado was dry as a bone. In in Virginia where I lived, it was just outside of DC. I would walk outside in the morning and my glasses would fog up.
Yes, that was happening this morning. Yeah. I was trying to take some photos this morning, pop the cap off of my camera lens, and it's fogged instantly. And I'm just like,
it's the worst. Oh, it's my nightmare. So you were saying you finished projects. Were those the dios that you finished, or?
I'm almost finished with the dio currently. I'm going to try to finish it in the next couple days. I finished some Majora's Mask photos the last couple days. I had been wanting to make the Keaton mask for, a year, and finally got around to it. And same with the ocarina. And I'm trying to think what else. I'm working on a couple more things for Breath of the Wild. I gotta finish those, and some more Kirby stuff. I'm actually, right before I came to start talking to you for the recording, I was actually making some Kirby stuff downstairs.
Nice.
While watching the latest episode of Game of Thrones, because it's another thing I'm a huge fan of.
I've never seen an episode.
Oh man, it's intense, dude. Just prepare to have your heart ripped out if you ever watch it.
I mean, I bet, all my friends love it. I'm sure I would love it. I just feel like...
Oh, it's great.
I usually watch... I'll usually wait till a series has ended and then marathon, every episode in, a weekend.
That's a great thing to do, to be honest. I've done that with a lot of series as well, because it's terrible. Once I get hooked, I'm hooked. And when, you have to wait a year and a half to whatever for another season to come out.
Oh, yeah, it's awful.
It's brutal.
I'm trying to think. I had a highlight and then I forgot. It was kind of like a half-assed one because literally so many good things happened last week that I feel like it really overshadowed what happened this week. But if I had to choose, okay, so I'm going to this podcast conference next week. I'll be in... Oh,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm going to the Eclipse on Monday in Wyoming to see Totality. And then,
that's amazing.
Yeah, and then I'm leaving for LA Tuesday, and I'll be at I'll be at a podcast conference until Friday. And then I'm going to hang out in San Clemente with my sister until Sunday. So I'm super looking forward to that.
Oh, that's awesome. That sounds great.
And I think my highlight last week was that one of the guys who he has a podcast called Mixergy, he was the one who actually helped me find my inner entrepreneur. And he's going to be a keynote speaker at this conference. And I emailed him and was like, yo, can we hang? Can I buy you a drink, something? And he gave me his cell phone number and was like, definitely hit me up when you're here.
Oh my gosh.
So
dude, that's so exciting.
Yeah, that's really cool. So it got me thinking, who else could I hit up in LA while I'm there,
Oh, dude, do it. I every year I go out there, I actually make myself a list when I'm at E3 for conferences. This is what I want to try and get done.
Right.
This is who I kind of want to meet, and this is this is what I want to, these are my goals, basically.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend doing that. Because then it's kind of fun to look back on to, years down the road, depending on where you're at. This is where you started kind of thing. It's something kind of sentimental.
Yeah. So I hit up another guy. And I might have mentioned this last week. I don't even remember anymore. He is the host of I did bring this up last week. I think this might have been my highlight last week too. I hit up another guy who is the host of a podcast called Planetary Radio. It's run by the Planetary Society, which is a space exploration advocacy group that Bill Nye is the CEO of.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so the guys who do the Astra Podcast, it's a space policy and technology podcast on Elemental. They are members of the Planetary Society, and the one dude, Jack, is actually their event coordinator. So he hangs out with Bill and I all the time at meetings, and
oh my gosh.
He knows this dude Matt, who's the host of the podcast, and we've kind of discussed some cross promotion between our shows.
Yeah,
they certainly have a lot more to offer us than we do them. But he was interested, so I hit him up. We're actually going to meet up in I forget where their office actually is. It's south of LA, and I'm going to go to their headquarters, and I'm going to check out their recording studio and kind of talk to him about what we're trying to do. And he's looked at the site, and I'm hoping that it'll end up in building up a relationship.
Man, that's so great.
For more promotion. So I'm hoping that within the next couple months, their show is just going to blow up. Because when you Google space podcast, Planetary Radio is the third thing to come up right behind NASA's podcast.
That's so great.
Yeah. And Neil deGrasse Tyson's show. So it's it could be huge for us.
Oh my gosh.
And
yeah.
Like you were saying, it's clearly this network isn't about the money, because I'm spending $100 a month just to run it and putting in 15 to 20 hours a week. I'm paying to work, but I love it.
Yep.
And I'm hoping that it ends up in money, but it doesn't
I said, that's kind of basically where I'm at too. So, I feel you there. I'm just happy that you have us along for the ride.
Yeah.
Cause I love this stuff. I mean, like I said, this is new to me, but I really enjoy it, and it's different than what I do every day.
Right.
But I definitely feel like we got something special. I'll just say that.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I think the first time I even thought about doing a podcast network, I think you were the first person that I hit up back when I was Captain Dangerous. This girl's like huge. I don't know who she is. I'm so intimidated. Slid you a DM.
Dude, I will tell you, when you first messaged me, like, and you told me about you wanted, I was like, dude, yes, this is awesome. Like, I was so excited. I told Kyle, like, instantly, I was like, oh, man, this would be so fun to do. I said we should, and I remember being kind of nervous about it, too, because I never done anything like this, and Kyle was like, go for it. That's Kyle with, like, me with everything. Go for it. Like, just, yeah. He is like my number one cheerleader.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, I think that you're super interesting. Like, I've had a lot of fun just listening to you. I think you would have an amazing show, and we've talked about it for, like, over a year now.
Yeah, like, we just got to trying to get recording gear and everything.
I know,
but,
man.
Obviously, as you know, Kyle and I 100% want to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's fun just being able to do these little things with you here and there. It's kind of good practice, too, I think.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy it. I had several of my friends tell me that they listened to the last podcast we were on, and they loved it, and it was very encouraging.
Yeah, and I actually, the network got a DM from, I think the account name was Everyday Link, and she also does.
I know who that is.
Yeah, so she does like the product photos, and I follow her too, and she was like asking, like, is that a one-off? Like, are more of those things going to happen? Like, she's seemed really into it.
Oh, I love you. That's so awesome.
So the people are asking for it, Kyleigh. Whenever you're ready, I'm ready for you.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
John. All right, you have a song of the week? Anything you've been listening to lately? Or
I don't have a song, but I have a band that I've been listening to all this week.
Good enough.
I'm a big fan of the Classic Crime, and they're kind of I guess they'd be rock, but they've just got, like, because sometimes when I'm taking photos, I pop in my earbuds, or if I'm walking to a certain photo spot in, like, the park, I usually listen to music while I'm going there, and it's usually a toss-up of, like, video game, like, retro soundtrack music
right.
or whatever. Yeah, like, seriously, like, I think it's between, like, any, like, Mario, like, I think it was Mario Galaxy I was thinking. No, Mario Sunshine, that was it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that, and then, like, I'll listen to that, and then I'll, like, go from that to, like, like classic crime, or like Reliant K or whatever,
yes.
Like, back in the day, yeah. And, but I would definitely say I think Classic Crime is what I've been listening to all week. They're great.
Is there like do you have a favorite song of theirs?
Gosh, there's so many. Like, seriously.
Or an album?
Let me think.
Okay.
Because they have several.
All right, no problem.
You put me on. You put me on the spot here.
Well, I can jump ahead to mine, and then we can come back to yours if
Yeah, tell me. Well, I think you can go ahead.
Cool. So I actually just downloaded the new brand new album that came out today, like, by surprise. They're like one of the biggest bands from my, like, most developmental ages, like, as a musician especially. We covered a lot of their music.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And they just had a new album come out. It's in my inbox, and I haven't listened to it yet because I was, like, downloading it, like, as I was getting ready to talk to you. I just found out that it dropped, so I can't recommend it because I haven't listened to it. But something I've been listening to a lot lately is one of my favorite bands. They're called Counterparts, and I think I recommended them. Like,
I think I've heard of them before.
Oh, they're so good.
Oh yeah,
I recommended them like 2 weeks ago with a song from their last album, but they released a new single not too long ago called Bouquet, and it's like melodic hardcore. It's like heavy. If you're not into it, don't worry about it.
I love stuff like that.
I've been loving it. It's like like you were saying, I got really burnt out on music and like just totally had to like get away from it for a while to kind of and I'm still kind of in that. It's been like a year and a half or 2 years. I actually spent most of last weekend recording a new song that I'm stoked about. So I feel like I'm slowly getting passionate about it again. But I've talked about it with Pat. It's been like I haven't even listened to much music because I'm just still like feel like emotionally drained from trying to do this band with these guys, and it didn't work out, and it just needed to step away, you know. But their music like really makes me feel something, and I've just been vibing it lately. So I guess that'll be mine for the week. Bouquet by Counterparts.
I was gonna say, I finally remember what it was called. The Coldest Heart by the Classic Crime. That's what it was. I was like trying to remember. I was like, I don't want to get the song mixed up with another, like, because there's another song that's similar by another band. I was like, I don't want to screw this up and look retarded.
And what was it again?
The Coldest Heart.
The Coldest Heart.
Yeah.
Awesome. And again, for the listeners, links to those will be in the show notes. Elemental.fm /reminiscent/40. Holy crap. This is the 40th week we've done this.
Wow, man. Woohoo!
Yeah. And I always think we started the week that I moved, like the day after I moved to Colorado. So I moved 40 weeks ago.
Dang.
That's also crazy. All right, so we got the songs, we got the highlights. Wanted to ask you, Pat, the co-host of this show, the normal one, moves to Cincinnati Monday, I think.
Oh man!
Any advice for him on cool spots to hit up? Anything worth knowing?
You said Cincinnati, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure, because some people when they'll just say like Ohio, and then I find out they're moving to like Cleveland, and I'm like, I have no idea. Cincinnati, honestly, there's quite a bit to do. There's a lot of cool parks around here. There's a park on the river. There's my personal favorite. You have to have a membership for it, but it's worth it. The Cincinnati Nature Center. Okay. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I don't know if into walking or gardens and stuff, but that place is gorgeous. All park as well. Oh. What? Did you have a dog?
No, I don't hate it. I kind of hate being outside, mostly because I am all day for work. I'm like totally like indoorsy.
Oh, well, I can understand that. I can understand that. My brother it does like groundskeeping stuff, so he's like out like taking care of like property stuff outside all the time. And I remember when he'd come home from work, and I'd be like, "Let's go like hike, or let's like go to the park." And he'd be like, "No. Are you serious right now?"
That's totally me. Yeah.
yeah. So I can definitely understand. There's I don't know. I'm trying to think. There's a couple good like pizza places. Pies and Pints is Kyle and I's favorite. I think it's only locally here right now, but it's absolutely fantastic.
Okay.
If he likes, they like drinks or whatever, and a fantastic pizza. Holy cow, best pizza I think I've ever had is there.
Awesome. He definitely likes drinks.
Okay,
and who doesn't like pizza?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like the perfect like combo of amazing pizza, and I can't remember how many brews or whatever they had on tap. I think it was like 40 or something. Jeez. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah, like I remember we went there. We thought they were joking. We're like, really? Like here in Cincinnati, like you have that much?
And who changes all those kegs? My God.
Yeah. So, and the great thing is they let you try, whatever. Like you get like a little shot glass or whatever to try for free. So if you're not sure what you want, you can try stuff. Because it was overwhelming the first time we went. I was like, I don't know what any of these mean.
Okay, cool. I think that's totally good. I'm excited to come visit him at some point. Might try to stop in and say hey to you guys.
Oh yeah,
that'd be awesome. So one last thing before we go, we're just crossing 90 minutes. Your Instagram followers and your friends and stuff, like you said, it's mostly over like text or like sending mail. They don't hear your voice much. Is there anything that you want to say to them, or any advice, just anything that you think they should know or hear?
Sure. Well, I think probably the biggest thing, and I know I say it a lot, but I really cannot thank all of you guys enough for all the support and the kind comments and messages and just the little things you guys send me or say to me just really, really brighten my day, and they help me get through a lot of stuff that I'm going through, and I truly cherish every single thing you guys tell me and send me, and I really do take them to heart. And it's not just me reading something and saying thank you to get the notification to go away. To be honest, I know a lot of people do that. I really do care, and I really do try my best to listen and to keep up with everybody, because you guys do matter to me. You're not just a number. You're not just some random user on the internet. I do care about you guys. And to those of you out there that are struggling with stuff right now, I know a couple of you guys have come to me with some, difficult life stuff that you're going through and some scary things. It's going to be all right. I know it doesn't seem that way now. I know the world's a scary place right now. But don't give up. I know hope doesn't always seem attainable, and something that you can hold on to at this time, but hang in there. And don't get discouraged. And if you are discouraged or need somebody to talk to or whatever, my message box is always open. Please, please, please message me. I don't care if you're just having a bad day or the boss is crapping you at work. You can talk to me about it. There's nothing too small or, too big or whatever to, vent about or whatever. Everybody needs somebody. And I don't want you guys to feel alone, because I know what that's like, and it's not fun.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, definitely.
To sum up, hang in there, guys.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're definitely a very, very sincere, very passionate person. And yeah, a lot of times there are people that just need someone to talk to. And, I've lost friends to depression, and looking back, I'm feeling like, God, man, looking back, you see that they were really upset or going through some stuff, could have just been there, and maybe it could have just taken one person saying, how are you? We're talking through some stuff. It's
absolutely
really important for people to know that, yeah, you're not alone in whatever you're going through, and everyone seems happy on the internet, and there's
absolutely,
there's a lot of reality buried underneath that.
Yes. I will say, the stuff that I've had people tell me, your life seems so great, and I want that. I try to tell people don't take what everyone's posting on the internet as this is their life. People post highlights on there. That's not their day to day.
Right.
You don't see everything else that goes, it's fine to look up to people. That's great. I do that too, but just remember that, because I know what it's like to see all your friends or relatives or whatever, look like they're living, life and, doing all these great things and traveling and getting all these great, jobs or having lots of money, that kind of thing, when that's only one side of it.
Yeah.
So don't be discouraged by it, and know that that's not 100% of what's real.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's, very, very kind of you to open up your inbox. to to people who might need it.
Oh yeah,
and not like any of your fans who would be listening would feel the need to come to me about anything, but I try to be that for people too.
Oh yeah, and I will vouch for Tom that he is an awesome person to talk to, because I've talked to him when I've been dealing with stuff. So,
and I think I've talked through some stuff with you too. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh, everyone's just trying to get through the day and live the best life they can.
Absolutely.
Well, don't hang up yet, but we will say goodbye to the podcast. Seriously, thank you so much for hopping on.
No problem.
I've been wanting to get you and Kyle on more, just because we're trying to start a show for you guys, and again, like, just get you comfortable with it. And we had a couple weeks to fill, and it was just a really good excuse to get like a really long conversation with you guys.
Yeah, right.
the other one that we did with Kyle, I had a lot of fun. I love talking to you guys.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
So it definitely won't be the last time, and we'll get Kyle on again, because I love hearing that man's voice. He's such a good guy. Oh, he is. All right, so we'll say goodbye to the people for now, and thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week after the conference with Pat for the first time in like 5 or 6 weeks. It's been crazy without him, so I'm excited. So thanks again, Kyleigh.
Oh, no problem, and thanks for listening, guys.
See ya. Ba, 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 ba.